All the roll and go, where am I to go? Meet Johnny, where am I to go? For I'm a young and a sailor lad, and where am I to go?
Hello, and welcome to Where Am I to Go podcast. This is the second podcast we are doing in St. Joseph, Missouri. We are with Sarah, who took us through the Glore Psychiatric Hospital, and now we are at the Wyeth Tootle house. No, mansion. No, beyond that. I don't know what this thing is, but it is absolutely unbelievable. She was saying that this was the St. Joseph Museum for many years, and I've kind of walked through just a little bit of this, and I'm totally flabbergasted at what I'm seeing. Sarah, welcome, and let's take a tour of this.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We're having a beautiful day in St. Joseph, and we are so excited to share with your listeners information about the historic Wyeth Tootle Mansion. So I would like to try to describe to your listeners what we're seeing, but it's almost impossible.
You go ahead and try and describe, because I'm having a heck of a time myself. This building, as you're coming into this part of town, there's mansions everywhere. I mean, there's probably, 50, 60 mansions around this area? And you said that this was given to the museum, or you guys had a small museum, then you guys were able to purchase this. Give us a little tiny bit of history about the museum, the history, and the house.
Okay.
And why there's so many mansions here in St. Joseph. I mean, this is probably the best collection I've seen.
Yes. So we have an impressive inventory of historic mansions in St. Joseph. And those, the question is, how did that happen?
Yes.
We were the jumping off point for Western expansion in the 1800s, and we had more people go through St. Joseph than any place else in this incredibly large migration of people heading out west to settle and gain their fortunes and start their lives. And so
we're talking about the Oregon Trail, the Mormon Trail, the California Trail, and any other trail that you could imagine that went west back in the mid-1800s.
Yeah. So certainly the Pony Express comes through here. The Mormon Trail comes through here. The Pony Express Trail comes through here. We call it the St. Joe Road, right?
Okay.
That was heading out to Oregon and California, leaving from St. Joseph. And so we just visited the impressive Missouri River and saw where those wagons would have crossed. It's a beautiful feature of St. Joseph, and if you are in St. Joseph, please, do go down and take a stop and look at the river, because that's really how St. Joe was created. That was our road, the river, right? Coming up from St. Louis across the state of Missouri to St. Joseph, and then up even further up to Omaha and up. And then
I would
back
imagine
down.
that as people saw that river back in the day, they were full of hope. But after they crossed the river and got another 400 miles west, their hope was probably going, I hope I get there sooner.
Well, so, it's springtime here in St. Joseph. And so, this would have been the time where people are starting to really arrive, because they had a very brief window when they could leave, because if they left too late in the fall, they were going to face some severe weather. Donner Party. Yes, yes. And that was treacherous. And so they're trying to leave kind of early in the spring, but they have to wait till the grass comes in, because the oxen and the livestock that are helping pull those wagons require the grass to be able to live. And so they have this kind of magic window of opportunity where the grasses come in and they can start heading west, and they have to do it before it gets too cold. They have to get there. So right now, this time of year when the grass is starting to come in is really the prime time where we would have had wagons lined up waiting to cross the Missouri River on those ferry boats to head out west and make that journey. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of people in St. Joseph that are trying to outfit themselves. So to get all of the supplies they need, the hardtack the nails, the guns that they might have needed, the food, cans of oysters, crackers, all of those things that they were going to need to not only just make the journey out west, but to survive once they get there for a little while until they get settled. So there's a lot of price gouging and competition. And
I was going to say, I'm sure that the prices were really fair.
There's newspaper articles where St. Joseph is saying that they're price gouging in Independence, and Independence is saying don't go to St. Joe because everything's going to be so expensive there. And they're definitely marketing themselves.
Supply and demand.
Yes.
And there was a lot more demand than supply.
Absolutely. And there were probably people telling you stuff that you were going to have to need to take your journey. Which maybe they didn't necessarily need. I mean, we do have stories of, after they get out of town a ways and they're making that trek, they realize that their wagons are too heavy, so they start leaving supplies by the side of the road. So there was a lot going on in St. Joseph in those prime gold rush years, and then after that, the 1800s. And because of that, there were a lot of people who made quite a lot of money in St. Joe. And they were able to build some very impressive and beautiful, beautiful buildings.
Well, I am just totally stunned by what I'm seeing in here. I've been to several different mansions or big houses or whatever, but the artwork in here, the painting on the ceilings, the woodwork is all beyond explanation. I mean, as we walk in here, we walk through some doors that are pretty tall. They're probably 10-foot tall doors. 3 foot wide each, so 6 by 10 is what you'd have to walk through. That's to get to the vestibule. Then you've got another set with glass in them coming in that are French doors. And then you walk into this hallway that is all beautiful, dark wood. I'm not sure what flavor
Mahogany.
the wood is. Mahogany, okay. Mahogany wood that is big casings around the doorways. The doorways are all 8-10 foot tall, again 6 foot wide. You've got a staircase in front of you that is just unbelievable, about 6 foot wide, goes up to a landing, goes up to another landing, goes up to another landing, and then you go upstairs. It's just unbelievable what I'm looking at as I walk into the house. And then as I look to the room on the right, I look up and I see a ceiling that is painted with all kinds of ornate designs, something like what you'd maybe see on a Persian rug or something like that. There's several different layers of crown molding with different colored stripes painted around it. The room on the other side has the same kind of ceiling painting all the way through. The floor is a parquet type floor. Wow. My mind's going different directions. When you look at it from straight above, you see stars. But then you look at it another way and you see like a table with leaves folded out. Then you look another way and you see blocks stacked on top of each other. Is that just my mind that's screwing with me?
No, it's an optical illusion. Yeah, it's made to be an optical illusion. So you see 3 stacked blocks.
Yes.
Or you see a star, right? A 6-pointed star. And yeah, there's lots of ways to look at it. It's pretty impressive. So
somebody went dizzy trying to build this.
So you don't find a whole lot of the same type of hand craftsmanship as you do here at the Wyeth Tootle Mansion today. We're not generally building so ornately with so much attention to detail. We have a lot of beautiful mansions of this caliber in St. Joseph. This is one of the few that's open to the public for viewing. We're open on Fridays and Saturdays, April through October, from 10 to 4. And then we also do a lot of educational programs and special events and rentals here. So a lot of times we'll have weddings, birthday parties, baby showers, and then all kinds of fundraising events that we do for the St. Joseph Museums. This upcoming week we'll have Easter, where we have over 600 people will come and hunt Easter eggs.
Wow.
And visit and tour this beautiful building. But going back to the vestibule, because you're giving a nice overview of what the sort of large space looks like. But what I really appreciate about St. Joseph and our architecture here is the details. So like looking closely at the tile mosaics that are just in the vestibule. It's just such an intricate design. There's flowers, something that looks kind of like a ribbon. These are some leaves or branches. And even, here on the sides of the walls.
Oh, wow.
There's plaster casts. So the walls aren't flat. They have a texture. They have detail.
And there's kind of a flower, a lily type pattern or something that goes all the way up and around. Wow. I did not catch that.
So there's just, whenever you're in St. Joseph, when you come to visit, I always encourage people to just slow way down and spend time walking around our town or driving around our town and looking at all of those very fine details that are made throughout. We had a lot of immigrants that were coming from Europe and Germany in particular that were helping build these mansions, and there's so much detail and care and craftsmanship that goes into each room, each window, each piece of wood. It's just really impressive. So the gift shop over here was like a French sitting room originally, and you can see the black woodwork with the gold. It was all black and gold molding. That was the colors in this room. And then, as you mentioned, the ceiling. So the 3 rooms that have the ceilings painted, those are canvas. They were painted in Europe, and then they were rolled up and shipped over here and then installed.
I was wondering who spent their time on stilts trying to figure out how to paint all of that.
Nope, they were painted on canvases, ordered from Europe and then brought over here. And so that's nice. So we also do have a lot of taxidermy at the mansion, just because that gives a nod to our early history as a natural history museum. So you'll see that throughout. So here in the gift shop, we kind of have a bird theme going on. We have some owls. We talk a little bit about the brown pelicans that were very close to extinction. And this case over here too, looking at some birds that have been have gone extinct, like the passenger pigeon, the Carolina parakeet, and the Labrador duck. We also talk about the ivory-billed woodpecker, which we now know is probably not extinct, but very close to it. So some great things. The great blue herons that you see around here quite a lot in Missouri. They're all over the place, and lovely birds, nice, beautiful birds, and sandhill cranes that are also highly endangered ducks.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is just amazing. Okay, so now you still have some of your artifacts from when this was a museum and not necessarily the stuff that was in the house when it was occupied.
Right. So we do have a few period rooms. We call those period rooms, right? But we also are kind of showcasing right now, and all of this changes depending on what we are doing. Sometimes we have weddings and we move stuff around, or special events, or we do new exhibits. So in one of the rooms, we have a lot of our geological collection out right now, and I can talk to you a little bit more about that too. This is called the Louis XVI room. For folks who are listening, it's a beautiful cream-colored room.
Yes.
A large mirror at the front of it over a fireplace mantle. Interestingly enough, we have mantles in all of the rooms, but we didn't actually have any working fireplaces. When the mansion was built, it had a coal boiler. Yeah.
Okay.
And so they just had the fireplaces because they were used to fireplaces, and that's what they built.
And then you've got some really big heat registers that were running off of that coal boiler.
Yep, and we still use those to this day, and they're original to the house. But
so you're still burning coal?
No, we're using a gas boiler.
Converted them to natural gas?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And again, you have all the really ornate scroll works and those types of things in the wall that stick out. This room's just unbelievable with the craftsmanship and the wainscoting and not really wainscoting, but it is. Yeah. Just everything in here is
so much detail. So when the St. Joseph Museums moved into it in 1947, they wanted it to look like a modern museum at that time. So they had covered up a lot of the original wood floors, and they had painted a lot of the ceilings. And so you can see up here in the Louis room, all of this had at one time been painted. They have gone back and been able to conserve it so that you can see it, but we haven't gotten all of it conserved. You can see where it was painted in parts that have been opened up. But
what was somebody thinking when they were painting over these cherubs floating around on the ceiling?
So,
and this is canvas also.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's and there are still things that we're unveiling. Like the stairs still have linoleum. I can't wait to get that opened up and see the woodwork that's underneath of those. So the mansion was built in 1879. It was originally built by the Wyeths, and the Wyeths had a large manufacturing company here in St. Joseph. They primarily had lumber and nails, and they were outfitting people with like leather goods, saddlery, and things like that. And so the Wyeths on their honeymoon toured the Rhine River, and they saw the castles on the Rhine, and so they came back to St. Joseph and they commissioned the architect Edmund Eckel, who built quite a lot of our buildings in St. Joseph, to recreate a castle. So we call this the Castle on the Hill.
Okay. And how many square feet is this building? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know off the top of
it's
my
huge.
head. It's huge. I know there's 43 rooms. I know that it costs thousands.
43 rooms?
Yes. Yes.
And how many kids did they have?
So the Wyeths originally had 3 kids.
Were they hoping to fill the house and only got to 3, or what?
They didn't live here very long.
Really?
They only lived here about 8 years. And then, it was a big thing to throw parties at that time.
Right.
And this is a nice big house, and it throws adequate parties.
Oh.
But they wanted a house with a larger, more open floor plan so that they could have more people in their parties. And so they actually built another house. And when they did that, Kate Tootle purchased the mansion, and the Tootle family actually owned it for the longest time.
Wow.
A very, very long time. So, and Catherine is an amazing story. I'll tell you a little bit more about her as we go along. This is the Moorish room that we're standing, Moorish room.
Because it's got a lot of Middle Eastern type design.
Yes. And again, I would just encourage your visitors to maybe go on our website and look up some pictures of the Wyeth Tootle Mansion, because it's really hard to describe, but probably the most ornate of all of our rooms, the Moorish room. There's decorative panels all along the walls. The ceiling is also painted with a highly decorated stencil.
It's like what you'd see if you were looking at the exterior of some of the Indian,
like Taj Mahal, yeah.
Yes, those types of architecture is brought out in here, and design and artwork. And you got a great big bear.
Yes, we have the Dugdale bear, and he's been with our collection for a long time, and he's everybody's favorite pal. How tall would you say he is? Probably about 10 foot tall?
He's getting there, yeah. He's huge.
He's huge. And
he's 8 foot tall, and he only weighed 1,500 pounds.
Well, there you go.
That's what it
That's
says.
what the sign says.
That's what but I'll tell you, if I saw him coming at me, I'd swear he was 20.
Well, yeah, he's impressive. So the Dugdale company was a packing house here in St. Joseph, and Mr. and Mrs. Dugdale were big game hunters.
Okay.
And so they went out and shot him, unfortunately, and brought him back to St. Joseph. And the story is that of the two, Mrs. Dugdale was the better shot.
Uh-oh.
So it's very likely that this was her handiwork.
Okay. And now you've got a grand piano and a box piano. Mm-hmm. And so you've got a couple of different pianos. Are these things that people play when they rent this out for weddings and that stuff, or are these don't touch them?
So they can be played, and we don't generally encourage it for like everyday visitors, but if somebody wanted to use it for a wedding, certainly we can. We just got it tuned. This room, it was actually added on. So if you look at this wall right here, which is about a 2-foot wall thick,
Right.
this was the outside exterior wall of the original house. When Catherine Tootle purchased the house, she made a lot of additions, and so she added on this back portion of the house, and this was the breakfast conservatory.
Okay. And again, the ceilings in this house are just as impressive as any other part of it. It's amazing. Every room has its own ceiling. This one has diamonds that are painted black with some pen striping, drop down trim. And then on the inside, what is that shape called? It's like a big diamond, a diamond with 2 long sides instead of being just a normal diamond.
Hexagon?
No, it's not a hexagon. That would have 6 sides.
Oh.
It's like a stretched diamond. We'll go with stretched diamond.
Kind of shaped like a crystal.
Yeah, shaped like a crystal. And it's painted red on the inside. So you've got kind of a red and black. Maybe that's kind of a purple even.
It's kind of purple.
Purple.
Mm-hmm.
A red and purple
Green, white.
design going on up here that's really cool.
It's really, really fun.
Now, did you guys have to add the sprinkler system, or is this the way that the water system was?
The sprinkler system would have been added by the museum
Okay.
later on.
So there's pipes that hang down from the ceiling, but they're covered in the same basic color as what everything else is.
This is one of the original stained glass windows.
Really?
And this would have been the back door originally to the house.
That's really pretty too. It's stained glass with ovals and circles and diamond pattern.
This is the back servant staircase
Okay.
that leads up to the 2nd floor.
That's a very nice servant's staircase. We've been to several houses, and usually the servants had to figure out how to walk up a little tiny narrow staircase with short treads and everything else, but this one's very ornate. It's got nice handrails. And
This would have been the servants' like butler area.
Okay.
So the kitchen was back over there. It would have been a fireplace kitchen originally. And then this is where they would have prepped the food up, and they would have gone straight through this doorway, through the butler's pantry into the dining room. Today we have the bathroom situated where the butler's pantry used to be, but this was the back prep area.
Okay.
We talk a little bit more about the Wyeths
you
here.
had their portraits hanging on the wall.
Yep. So William Maxwell Wyeth I and his wife Eliza were the people who commissioned the house.
Okay.
And then they lived here part of the time with their daughter Sue Maud Wyeth and her daughter Bernice. And then their son Houston also lived here. And this is his wife Layla Ballinger Wyeth. And Houston was the head of the Wyeth Manufacturing Company in St. Joseph for a very, very long time. This is a Wyeth miniature saddle that actually was on display at the St. Louis World's Fair and won the silver medal prize for that.
Really?
But this is the kind of ornate saddlery that the Wyeth family was doing. And then Allison Wyeth Campbell was their youngest daughter, who would have lived here with them when they lived here. And then this horse is from the Wyeth Manufacturing Company. So it's a gigantic, really large show horse. And they use this in their company headquarters to display some of their saddles.
Okay. And it's a full-sized horse form, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
This is the dining room. This would have been the dining room.
Wow.
Laid out right now with the full service. So lots of china, lots of plates and silverware.
Gold silverware or gold-colored silverware.
Mm-hmm.
Plates, saucers, cups, big mirrors. Again, the ceiling has just a rectangle type pattern on it, but again, it's ornate. Everything is.
Lots of details.
Lots of details. And this floor is like a super large parquet with the boards going one direction then the other, and they're probably 2 foot by 2 foot squares. Mm-hmm. They really spent a lot of time on these floors.
They for sure did. And then here we are back in the library with the star cube design floors. And the shutters, the windows are so large. So there's 2 sets of shutters that open up and they tuck in and hide into the sides, which is a really nice design.
Right.
If I ever built a house and I had all the money in the world, I would use this design.
Yeah, because the shutters tuck right
They
back
tuck
in
right
flush,
in.
and then you just think it's part of the windows casing.
And then you have these great big huge open windows all the way, kind of almost floor to ceiling.
Yes. And the ceilings are high in here. They're probably 12 foot up.
And another painted ceiling. And this represents various things in the arts. So this is like painting. I think that is geography. And then one of these is theater on the pop outs.
Wow.
I think the other is probably music. So various intellectual arts. But see, some of this has been painted and hasn't been removed yet.
That's just amazing to me that somebody thought that painting that ceiling would look better than it does right now.
Well, they wanted to distract people from looking at the building and make them look at the artifacts that were in it at that time. But I mean, it's really hard to compete with the building because it is so impressive. And then right now we have some of our geology collections out. So sparkly crystals all over the place. Some beautiful malachite and azurite, septarian nodules, beautiful different marble samples that are fun, and some quartz crystals. A really nice fossil fish specimen. And this is a fossilized turtle.
Wow.
And brachiopods and ammonites. And this is a mastodon tooth.
Wow.
Nice specimen.
Very nice.
Yeah. One of the programs that we do is we call it Dig in the Dirt. And we teach kids about geology, paleontology, and archaeology.
Okay.
And so we use these quite a bit to do birthday parties and things with kids, so that of course, kids are always interested in dinosaurs, but they like rocks and they like to learn about arrowheads and pottery. So we kind of just talk about those different scientific disciplines.
I have a question. Back in there where the Wyeth saddle was, did they have a manufacturing company that made saddles?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was their business.
I had one of those.
Oh, what happened to it?
We sold it.
Why?
Somebody really wanted it.
I'll bet.
It was a Wyeth.
It was a Wyeth.
It probably walked all the way to Wyoming from.
Mitch has it.
Oh, Mitch has it.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to go look at it.
Yeah, that I mean, they had a huge manufacturing company. So if you look at the stairs and some of the linoleum, you'll see the old tracks from when this was primarily a museum. So these are great blue heron tracks that lead upstairs.
They go all the way up the stairs.
Yeah.
But you guys are redoing the stairs.
Eventually, we really hope to do so. This, of course, is a really beautiful stained glass window.
Was this original to the house?
This was not the original ones that the Wyeths put in, but this was a window that Kate put in when she did the renovations, just probably 8 or 9 years after the house was built. They had a
Okay.
different stained glass window there, but she liked this style better.
Now, this stained glass window is very nice sized. It's probably 6 by 8, and it's a stained glass of a man talking to a woman who's sitting next to him, and he's got all of his knight's armor that it looks like he's discussing with her how to wear it, how to put it on, something like that. Really an interesting piece of stained glass, but there's a picture there that a picture tells 1,000 words.
Yeah, she definitely has a book open on her lap, and they're discussing some stories.
And he's pointing to his helmet, so.
Yeah.
Okay. We just climbed up to the second level, and the first thing I see is a lion, full-mounted lion inside of a glass case staring at me with some pelicans up on top.
So the Wyeth family were big game hunters. They were very interested in going over to Africa and hunting. they went to this, it's called, I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce it, Tanganyika
I'm
crater.
glad you said it because I was going to mess it up a bit worse. So.
And they hunted over there, and to the point where I think some of the lion decimation, the lion population was almost decimated. People were going over there and hunting so aggressively. But this is one of the lions that they brought back. And interestingly enough, the guy who went with them was the person who was in charge of mounting specimens for the Natural History Museum, the American Museum of Natural History in New York. And so he mounted this. And so it was the same taxidermist that was doing this mounting. But
I had no idea lions were that large. This thing's huge. I
look
bet
at his feet.
he stands, his head is probably close to the same level as mine, other than he's standing on a pedestal that's a foot high. So this thing from paws to the top of his head is probably over 4 foot, 4.5 feet.
Oh,
and he's lengthwise, he's probably close to 7 foot long, just standing in a standing position.
yeah, he's gigantic.
Wow.
Yeah. This room over here is our new bridal suite. We do a lot of weddings here at the mansion, and we needed a place for our brides to get ready. And so we have some old wedding dresses and other dresses on display in here. Some of our Saroff dolls, which are really fun. They're made by a Missouri artist named Andre Saroff is his pseudonym, but they're fun because they show different styles of fashion.
I was going to say it looks like dolls of the world, kind of. Mm-hmm. And there's probably, 60 of them in there, I would guess?
Probably. We have over 400 in our collection.
Oh, so this is just a little bit.
Yeah, there's some more over.
Are the other ones in the basement?
No.
Oh, you told me that you had a lot of stuff that you stored in the basement here.
Right, right. A beautiful view outside. We just got these windows open. They were covered up before. And then in this next room is the Edmund Eckel. So Eckel is the architect who built the mansion as well as several other important buildings in St. Joseph. We have his collection of architectural drawings.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. That's one.
Are they in this case right here?
This is his cut sheet cabinet. So his actual architectural drawings are not here on display, though some of them are. But that collection is huge. Like all of the buildings that he ever built, and he was a prolific architect. The cut sheet cabinet is what he used to get inspiration. So it's a big cabinet with all of these different compartments, and he would go through architectural magazines or magazines that had buildings, and then he would take sheets out of them and put them in his cut sheet. So if he was going to build a museum, he would have a compartment for museums, or if he was going to build a church, he would have probably a compartment that would have different styles of churches. And so then he would, when he goes to build something, kind of thumb through these sheets and get inspiration for things that he was wanting to build.
This is a really interesting cabinet. It's like your China hutch. It has 3 sets of doors in the front, and then it's divided all the way down with about a 4-foot cabinet with dividers in it so that you could stack like magazines. And there's probably close to 50, maybe 60 different slots that he could put the different architecture drawings that he was going to resource for his information. How cool.
Yes, very cool. Over here, across the way, we have a little bit of an exhibit on the history of the St. Joseph museums. We also have light up fluorescent rocks.
Fluorescent rocks.
Mm-hmm. We talk a little bit about the fluorescent rocks. Those are always fun. That's been here at the museum for a long, long time. A gigantic tiger who is...
As you walk in, the tiger's looking at you like he's ready to spring. Wow.
So this is Miss Orel Andrews, who was kind of the founder of the museum with the children of St. Joseph, or the college students of St. Joseph that really wanted the museum to start. And then up here's a picture of the public library exhibits where they were at. And so this room, what we did was we looked through old pictures and we recreated the exhibits exactly as we believed them to be when they had the original museum.
That's cool. And it has a very rustic feel to it, like what you would have seen in a museum in the 60s.
Yeah.
As far as the glass cases and the way that things are displayed.
This is Miss Hyogo. She's a very rare Japanese friendship doll. She came to us in 1927. So almost every state got one Japanese friendship doll from Japan.
Oh, wow.
And this is coming out of World War I. There was a lot of tension between the United States and Japan, and so they put together this program to create some good relations.
Right.
And so every state got a Japanese friendship doll. Some states got two. Missouri happened to be one of those states that got two. We got one here in St. Joseph, and I believe St. Louis got the other one.
And she had a lot of accessories that went with it, a tea set, an umbrella or parasol, whatever you want to call it, some traveling type furniture that's doll size.
Yep.
Mirrors.
Yep, so there were in total 58 dolls. I believe there's less than 50 that we know of where they are at today.
And then we have a bald eagle eating a wood duck. Wow. And a mountain lion.
Yep.
And some international artifacts from Japan, the Philippines. We got a sword, we got shields. What is that? An opium pipe. Okay. And a couple of other really ornate swords.
Is that a first for you in your travels?
The opium pipe?
Yes.
We've talked a lot about opium, and I've seen little opium pipes, but not one that's quite like this. This looks like an old oil can that you would maybe put oil in and squeeze. It's got a long neck on it and two cylinders down at the bottom. I guess one for storing the opium and the other one for smoking the opium is what it looks like. I have not seen one quite like that.
Yeah. So after we moved out of the library annex, we moved over to the A.J. August House, which is another huge mansion here in St. Joseph. We were there for just 5 years, and then we moved into the Wyeth Tootle Mansion in 1947. So that's, this has been where the St. Joseph Museum has been for a long, long time. 1959 through 1998, we started and operated the Pony Express Museum. And they are their own separate private nonprofit today, but we're very good partners with them. Most of the Pony Express Museum collection is from the St. Joseph Museums.
Okay.
So they have a long-term loan with us. And then in 2001, we incorporated the Black Archives Museum. And in 2004, we incorporated the Glore Psychiatric Museum. And then in 2011 is when we incorporated the Doll Museum of St. Joseph.
And where's the Doll Museum located?
So we have some dolls here, as you can see.
Right, that's what I was wondering.
Most of the doll stuff that we have on display is at our Frederick Avenue site, the Glore site.
Okay. This one has Davy Crockett in it.
That's Joseph Robidoux.
Oh, I thought it was Davy Crockett.
No, that's
He's
Joseph
who the town
Robidoux.
was named after.
Yes, that's
Fur
true.
trapper, little fur cabin with some traps and hatchets and a muzzle loading rifle, beaver pelts. Okay, that's a nice little setup there.
So the room that we were in was Lillian Tootle's bedroom.
Okay.
Milton Tootle's bedroom was over here.
I guess he snored.
Perhaps. And then they have the room that we're standing in right here was the closet and the sitting room between their two bedrooms. So
this room's pretty large for a closet.
yeah, it is. And so Joseph is in the tower. So there's tower rooms that go all the way up.
Okay.
Because there's a tower on the north side of the building. And so Joe's been in the tower for a long time with his fur trapping cabin.
Do you have
Okay.
a specific purpose for those tower rooms?
When they built the castle, right? The castle, they wanted it to have a tower, like what they saw along the Rhine River with those castles. And so there was space. And so they just had rooms and they would use them for whatever. So this was just part of the closet.
Okay.
Wow.
Do you think there's painting underneath these ceilings?
I don't know that there are up here on second floor. Most of the painting ceilings are down on first floor. one room over there we can look at. Might be the exception. So this is the introduction to an exhibit that we call Intersections of Time and Buildings.
Okay.
And it's really designed to talk about some of the things that we've already spoken about today, is how did St. Joseph inherit this impressive architectural collection of old buildings. And so we talk a lot here about St. Joseph sitting at the nexus of the river, roads, and rails.
Okay.
So the Missouri River, of course, is why people came here originally, native peoples, as well as the European settlers. And then we have Pikes Peak Ocean to Ocean Highway, the Pony Express Trail, Oregon-California trails, all of these things coming through St. Joseph because of our unique geographical location. And then after that, following that, then of course the railroads.
Okay.
And so the Hannibal-St. Joseph Railroad cuts across Missouri.
Now, did you guys have a real nice rail station here and stuff too, like they did down in Kansas City?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is the railroad bridge, and then this would be a picture of this was our Union Station.
Okay.
And then it burned, and then this is the second Union Station in 1895.
Okay.
And then this is a much smaller one in 1969. But yeah, we had a couple of different versions of our big Union Station.
We went to the Union Station in Kansas City yesterday. What a phenomenal place.
It's nice. We
man.
no longer have ours. We do
That's
still
too
have
bad.
the Livestock Exchange building, which was very important to St. Joseph, but it's in quite a bit of disrepair right now. But it'd be a similar rehab as to the Union Station.
Because this was a livestock center also.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They drive the cattle up and ship them out from here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this next room, we talk about some of the buildings that are here in St. Joseph, and so we're looking kind of closely at architecture. We do have a couple of doll houses in here because that's where they ended up. This is a great big diorama of the Wyeth Tootle Mansion and the carriage house property. That's what the carriage house looked like when it was red brick instead of painted. So we're going to go back to that at some point.
You said you were doing some major renovations on the outside of this building. It's gorgeous from the outside, but the side that you've got done is just unbelievably cool.
Yeah, it's an expensive and labor-intensive undertaking. We just finished, I was saying before, $1.1 million of exterior renovations, and I think since I've been director in the last 10 years, we're over $2 million, probably close to $2.5 million that we've invested in the building between roof and HVAC and exterior repairs, and then of course the interior repairs as well. So
if anybody's looking for a project, they've got a few mansions here in this town that need some remodel. I would highly encourage you to just load up your pocketbook and come here and start remodeling.
You can get a nice, impressive mansion for fairly reasonable. At the base cost, it's the repairs that you're going to need to make over time that may cost you. It's another really interesting architectural space in this room. This was another closet, eventually also became a bathroom when indoor plumbing came in. But right now, today, it's an exhibit space, so it doesn't look like a bathroom. We actually have an impressive stained glass window in here.
Again, ornate woodwork with different, I don't know what those, almost like genie lamp type designs on them. Mm-hmm. And
urns? Let's call those urns.
Okay, we'll call them urns. But it's just, and it's done in gold and green with white walls. Just really, really cool. Oh, wow. This is impressive. This is a bedroom.
Yes. So this is the Victorian bedroom. This would have been Miss Kate Tootle, Catherine Tootle's bedroom. She was Milton's mom, and she bought the mansion, but then after Milton came of age and got married, she moved out to Riverside, California, but she would come back, and this is the room that she stayed in.
And this room has a baby doll carriage that's probably one of the most ornate I've seen. It's got a couple of ladies' dresses. It's got a steamer trunk. It's got a bed with big posts on the end on the footboard, but the headboard is got a big velvet curtain, kind of like what you'd see at a theater, up in front of it. I don't know if it closes around or what it does, but it's very impressive. It looks like you could have some sort of a show there. Puppet show anyway, not full-size people, but this thing goes floor to ceiling. Really impressive. Some very nice dressers. Again, a fireplace that doesn't work. And in this corner over here, as we walk in, there is a feather wreath that's made out of feathers that has all different colors, reds and whites and greens and yellows. And it's a pretty impressive little wreath.
Mm-hmm. Lots of details.
Lots of details.
We have a couple horses out here from Lake Contrary, which was the amusement park that was here in St. Joseph, in the south side. It was a really large amusement park.
But it's not here anymore.
It is not. It got flooded out in the 1950s and shut down. Before we head up to the third floor, we'll pop over here. You can really get a sense of what the museum used to look like when it was a full museum. So you see these taxidermied animals. So there's an impala, a Cape buffalo. There's a gigantic diorama of a giraffe, kudu, Peter's gazelle up here. All kinds of fun.
Taxidermy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't expect. Another gigantic diorama of a lion.
And then we have the servants' staircase again.
Yeah, so we're on the second floor. We're at the top of the servants' staircase.
And this is just a beautiful staircase. It really is. The servants didn't usually get very much in the way of luxury, but...
So there's 4 rooms back here that are closed off right now to the public, but we're getting ready to open them.
Were those the servants' rooms?
Yep.
Okay.
So this actually was 2 bathrooms, but it's 1 big room now, and then servants' rooms, and we're rehabbing them so that we can make more exhibit space.
Okay.
This is a bust of Miss Orell Andrews, who was the founder of the St. Joseph Museums.
Now, when she said that this is a bust, it's like the shoulders and head.
Another really nice stained glass window. I think that was an original to the house.
That's a beautiful window.
Third floor is the Confluence exhibit. So we talk about the history and science of flooding and the importance of the Missouri River to our community. And so this is a really interesting exhibit. We talk and specifically about the flood of 1993, because that was a record-breaking exhibit. And we talk about...
Did it flood the whole town?
It flooded most of the Midwest. Certainly a great deal of St. Joseph. So you can see in the picture over here, we went and saw the river earlier, right?
Right. Yeah, it didn't look anything like that wide.
So
wow.
This right here is the river in 93. Okay. So that's where we were standing, right on the side of the river. And this is
wow.
how far outside of its banks it went.
They've done a really good job of rebuilding because that river's, probably 2 miles wide right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was, we do have an augmented reality sandbox, which is cool. You can play with it and make shapes, and you can make the river and everything. I don't have it turned on right now because I don't, but it's a pretty fun interactive for the kids to teach them about the river.
And then you've got the Missouri river fish. You've got a big alligator gar, some channel cats, carp, long-nosed gar, white sturgeon, paddlefish. And all of these live in the Missouri River. Is it a big fishery? Do a lot of people fish?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have like catfish chasers tournaments come here, and they pull out. Is there a big catfish in
There's
here?
one down here.
Yeah, so
catfish.
he's not even big. Like, I mean, that's a good sized catfish, but I've seen catfish come out of that are, this wide, and so probably
like 60, 70 pounds.
Oh yeah, come out of that Missouri River. And then gar, like huge alligator gar, sturgeon get pretty big in there. We have big fish in that river. It's a big river.
It is a big river.
So this is kind of interesting to note. So if you look at the Missouri-Mississippi River floodplain, right, Missouri is right in the middle. And we're in one of the most fertile floodplains in the world. And so we do a lot of farming and agriculture. We're feeding a great number of the world's population in this Missouri-Mississippi floodplain. But that being said, like, we have to realize that we're going to flood.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just an important thing for us to understand. And rivers move. They don't always stay in the same place.
Exactly.
They're living things that are winding and constantly moving. And so here you have a picture of the Mississippi-Missouri floodplain and how it's moved over time. They call that the meander belt. And you can really get a sense of how much rivers move. And
so did they build according to that, or did they not build according to that? And that's the reason that you end up flooded every so often. But does the channel end up going through the middle of town and then moving back? Or?
So I'll show you in another room in the 1950s when we had a huge flood. It just cut off a whole portion of St. Joe and goes right through. So I'll show you where that is.
Wow.
But that's where you get horseshoe lakes. Lake Contrary was a horseshoe lake.
Okay.
That was once part of the river, but then got cut off. And so it still gets wet. And when you get a lot of water, it'll go to those old paths.
Channel paths, yeah.
But so this is, I was telling you, this is what the original natural river looked like, how we said it was wider and much more shallow and people could walk across it like slaves would walk across it. And then in the 1930s, they channelized it. And so they built dikes and revetments so that it would fill in basically and make this area go faster and be deeper. Okay. And so then you have, this used to be river, but now you've built up on top of it. And so it becomes land and vegetation. Here is at 1977 where they have taken it off and they make it into farmland. But if it's a wet year,
the floods take out the farmland.
That's all river. That used to be river. That's where the river wants to go. We're trying to push back off of the river now more and give it the latitude that it needs to move, because we know that it's going to do that. And there are some species of fish and birds and things that are going extinct because they need those more shallow spawning grounds. So the other thing that we've seen is over the years, we're seeing more frequent higher flooding.
Okay.
Because we've removed a lot of the floodplain, right? The water doesn't have any place to go. So it used to be like this long winding river, and if the water got up, it would kind of ease out and be soaked up into the soil. But we've removed a lot of that and we made it narrow. So when we get a lot of water that comes through, it flashes up and goes out and it becomes a big flood, and then it'll go back down. So this is like a huge flood in 1881, and this is a record flood in 1952. This was one that took out Lake Contrary and cut that channel. But then we start to see 73, 79, 84, 93, 2007, 8, 10, 11 record floods.
Wow.
Another one was 2017, beat out 93.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. In some ways. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this flood of 93 was huge. Nobody ever had seen anything like it, but we've seen two close to it since then.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've definitely changed the river quite a lot. I'm going to show you kind of a sneak peek up to the tunnel, or not the tunnel, to the tower.
We're climbing up a spiral staircase, and now we're up in the top of the tower. Wow. And this is probably about 12 foot round, I would say. Not really round, it's octagon.
It's kind of a fun view.
It's got little windows you can look out over the town.
Sorry for the mess.
Okay.
It's definitely in need of a little bit of repair and cleanup, but still, this is cool.
You're getting the behind the scenes tour.
I like that.
That's really awesome.
This is so cool. Yeah, we're up off the ground probably close to 40 feet, 50 feet. You can see out over the whole town. This is really, really cool. You guys have a really nice museum here on top of the other one. This whole concept of having multiple museums under your command, I would think would be both a major challenge as far as a job, but it also gives you so much latitude to do things.
Well, I mean, it really came about because the St. Joseph Museums was the first museum in St. Joseph, and the citizens of St. Joseph lobbied to have a tax go into place in the 1940s that would help us support that museum. And then over the years, people have created other museums. So we have quite a few more museums in St. Joseph. And sometimes those have been successful and can stand on their own, but other times they have been underfunded and not funded stably. So because we're the most stably funded entity, they've folded in underneath us to the extent that we can. We're at a place where we really can't take on any more museums should they go under. So we really are, we strive to help out our other museums in town so that they can be self-sustaining organizations, because we can't expand much more than what we have with our current base of funding.
Well, this is just amazing.
It is a good model. It's just a different model than a lot of places have.
It's probably the first real model. Well, I guess I can't say that, because Deer Lodge, Montana has a series of 4 museums that are all working together. You buy one ticket, you get into 4 different museums. So I guess that they kind of have that going there. But other than that, in this one, I don't know that I have really run into this type of an organization before. And if you buy one ticket, you get into the other museums. So
here with us, you can get into both of our sites on Fridays and Saturdays. If you buy one ticket, gets you into both locations. The other museums in St. Joseph, like the Pady House and the Pony Express, those are all separate ticket prices at this time.
Okay.
But we all meet monthly and talk about what's going on and work cooperatively together. There's some more pictures of the flooding during '93, which was just, like people had never seen anything like it. This is where I was telling you in 1952, where this used to be part of the river, and then it channelized, it cut a new channel and just went straight. And so it cut off. So Rosecrans is our airport here in St. Joseph. Okay. And that used to be on the Missouri side of the river. And then after 1952, it's now on the Kansas side of the river.
I am so thankful that you have spent the day with us. And it's been a full day. But this has been awesome. It's been so cool. And like I said before, and I'm going to say it again, the world is full of wonder. There are so many things to see, so many things to do. People need to get out and explore and have an absolutely wonder-filled day.
All the roll and go, where am I to go? Meet Johnny, where am I to go? For I'm a young and a sailor lad, and where am I to go?